Namaskar. Following the thought of Aham Bahusyam in Brahman, meaning may I be many, the process of creation started with a Big Bang instantaneously. Brahman is the absolute oneness, ever existing, all pervading, ever unchanging, invisible, all knowing, and eternally blissful. Brahman is the supreme living field of consciousness without any qualities, any attributes, or any divisions. Since Brahman is inherent with the will, knowledge, action, power, all rolled in one together, the process of creation started instantaneously. The thought Aham Bahusyam arose in the conscious living field of Brahman, the supreme consciousness. So the creation also exists in the conscious living field of Brahman, because there is no space-time continuum created anywhere at that point. Creation can only exist in the conscious living field of Brahman, purely for the sake of convenience in the use of language and ease of understanding. We can loosely say that creation existed in the conscious mind field of Brahman. But please note that there was no separation like mind in the ultimate Brahman. I am merely using the word mind field, not mind, to give you an idea of the field of consciousness to comprehend. Similarly, all creations can only be made out of consciousness itself and can exist only in consciousness itself, since nothing else was there in the beginning. This is what we have seen in the previous sessions essentially. The state of Brahman before the thought Aham Bahusyam is called as Parabrahman or as Nishkala Brahman. Para means supreme. Nishkala means without kala. Kala means parts or attributes. Nishkala Brahman means Brahman without any parts or without any attributes or without any differentiation. It is that state of the absolute truth that we defined in one of our previous sessions and called Brahman. Tantra calls it Akula, Parasamvit, etc. There are some other names to indicate that Nishkala state or the absolute state of Brahman before the creation process began. You might have heard many of these other names, and hence it may be of interest to you. Paramatma is one such epithet. Param means supreme. Atma is self or consciousness. Nirguna Brahman is yet another word, which means Brahman without any attributes or qualities. Atattva, not Tattva, because Parabrahman is not Tattva. It is Parabrahman who made Tattvas. Hence, Parabrahman is not Tattva. Another word is Nishkriya, means without any activity. Another word is Ashabda, without sound. Amanaska, without mind. Adi Narayana, Parashambhu, etc. are some of the other words to denote the Brahman before the formation of the thought Aham Bahusyam. All of you are familiar with the word Shivalinga, which is the symbolic representation of this state of Parabrahman. You can see that in India, there are mainly three categories of worshippers. There are Vaishnavites who worship Vishnu. They call Parabrahman as Adi Narayana or Mahavishnu. There are Shaivites who worship Shiva. They call Brahman as Parashambhu or Paramashiva. Then there are Shaktas worshipping Devi, the mother goddess. They also call Brahman as Paramashiva. So please know that Paramashiva and Mahavishnu are one and the same concept of Parabrahman. All are referring to the same invisible, formless, unknowable, genderless, non-sectarian, undifferentiated Parabrahman, visually symbolized by Shivalinga. So, Shivalinga is a visual symbolization of the invisible, formless, unknowable, genderless, non-sectarian, undifferentiated Parabrahman. People use different names to refer to same concept, although all of them may not necessarily know what they are referring to. Can you now see the unity in diversity? Generally, and in Christianity in particular, called this idea of ultimate truth as God. Islam called Allah, the invisible, formless, unknowable, genderless, non-sectarian and undifferentiated ultimate truth. That is why Islam insists that no form or shape or photo or idol should be used to indicate Allah. But it is extremely difficult for most people to think of nothingness without the visual aid of something. Names, forms, and symbols are like the walking sticks to help us visualize nothingness. Some need walking sticks, some don't. When the thought to create occurred to Parabrahman as Aham Bahusyam, instantly the process started. Parabrahman became Aparabrahman, the Brahman with differentiation, with attributes. Let us put this in a logical format. First, there was only void or singularity or oneness of Parabrahman. When the thought occurred for creation, the singularity wakes up and turns itself as consciousness. The consciousness thinks the thinkable, which is Aham Bahusyam, and speaks the speakable, which is the sound Om. The speakable becomes the universe of objects and beings. Let us pause for a moment here and consider what is thinkable. Thinkable is a visual sound. Sound is the origin of thinkable. When you say horse, an image of a horse appears in your inner vision. After all, it is just a sound. If that sound was not there, you would not have created a horse in your inner vision. Would you? For example, when we think of an apple appears in your mind's eye. If the word apple does not exist, we would not be able to think about apples, do we? We can say that is the visual sound of the apple. When the mental image apple explodes out through our vocal cords, it becomes an audible sound for apple. Apple does not appear in front of us because we are limited beings. We need to create an apple through Icha Jnanam Kriya as separate events in space and time, and we need to take much more actions to get the apple in front of us. Because Brahman has Icha Jnanam Kriya power inherently rolled into one without interspace in time and space, the apple appears instantaneously in front of Brahman. Remember the biblical words. God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Yeah? Once the word is spoken, it becomes an articulated sound. Sound is the origin of thinkables, speakables, alphabets, words, languages, objects, beings, and the whole universe comes into existence. When the word acquires meaning, it becomes an object that it denotes. That is the reason why we are advised not to think or speak of ill of anyone or anybody else. Words have the potential to happen. Objects originate from sound. One becomes two and two becomes three and so on. There are addition and duplication. There are multiplication, differentiation, mutation, etc. involved. Then a whole universe of diverse objects and beings come into existence. That diffused, impalpable consciousness gives rise to a specialized object called mind, without which there is no world. During the sleep, deep sleep, when the mind is in abeyance, there is no word of beings and objects for us. Think about this and roll it in your mind. Tantra says, from the conscious mind field of Parabrahman, the inherent Shakti, the power, the energy of Brahman started churning and began to separate itself. This is much like how cream comes out of milk. The substrate becomes the substance. We must understand one thing here. Shakti and Brahman are not two different things. What is referred to as Shakti is the Shakti or power of Brahman. They are the two sides of the same coin. It is like the heat of the fire. Heat and fire are not two separate things. Heat is the power of the fire. There are no two different things, separate things. From the Shakti or power, the Om sound was generated, and from the Om sound, a Bindu or a condensed point like a nucleus in a cell at the time of cell division was formed in the mind field of Aparabrahman. The center of the Bindu is called Brahmapada, and the circumference of the Bindu is Maya. Maya literally means illusion, the obscuration ability of the power, energy of Brahman. It is Maya and its 5 aspects that actually does the major part of the stepping down action. What follows is the Big Bang, which is the burst opening of the Bindu with cascading power energy. Energy and matter are mutually interchangeable, as we know. The matter is the grosser form of energy. Big Bang was the kick-starting of the creation and the onset of the evolution process of creation by creating the 36 tattvas. and using them in the creation to step down the consciousness to create limited objects and limited beings. Now, let us try to understand this logically. We have seen that the power of Brahman is as innate and intrinsic as the heat of fire. That power is energy itself. The first step along with the Big Bang is for Brahman within the Bindu segment to transform itself into the first principle, the Shiva Tattva. The next step is to reflect Shakti Tattva from Shiva Tattva as if it is reflected in a mirror and bring out the Shakti Tattva. Tantra says that the Shakti stood Unmukhi, looking at Shiva. Unmukhi means looking face up. Tantra used the word Vimarsham, meaning mirror. That is, when the thought Aham Bahusyam arises in the pure consciousness, a mind is formed, and a personality of pure consciousness with mind is formed, and that is Shiva Tattva. Shiva Tattva is the first principle in which all the power and Satchidananda nature of Brahman are inherited as such. Satchidananda means ever existing, all knowing, and ever joyful. Essentially, the pure consciousness of Abara Brahman within the nucleus called Bindu gave rise to two tattvas. The first tattva is tattva of Shiva and the pure consciousness, which is Brahman itself. The second tattva is Shakti Tattva, initiated and generated by Shiva Tattva. That is the reason behind the Ardhanarishira concept of Shiva, the half man, the half woman concept of Shiva in India. Shakti is the power of Brahman or the power of pure energy. In Tantra, consciousness is light, which is called Shiva. Energy is sound, and it is called Shakti. So, the first two pure tattvas are Shiva Tattva and Shakti Tattva, which is the pure consciousness with all the powers of Parabrahman and the energy of pure consciousness respectively. In Parabrahman, this mind, consciousness and power were all in the stage of sleeping potentiality. This is similar to how a giant banyan tree invisibly remains inside its tiny seed. But in Shiva Tattva, these forces are in an active state. Similarly, in the Shakti Tattva also, the energy is in an active state. That is why the Big Bang happened. The Shiva Tattva marks the beginning of the masculine principle in the universe. The Shakti Tattva marks the beginning of the feminine gender. In other words, the Shiva Tattva and the Shakti Tattva are the father-mother figures of the entire universe. Unlike Parabrahma, Shiva and Shakti are formless entities that we can approach directly. These two principles are invisible and formless because they all have the manifestations of Brahman. However, due to our human limitations, we need a walking stick again to visualize the Shiva Shakti in our minds. That is why we worship Shiva and Shakti as deities, symbols and names. Now let me give you a complete overview of the process of creation using 36 tattvas in a nutshell so that you will have a quick overall picture to start with. Please listen to this carefully. Brahman is not a tattva. Brahman creates tattvas out of itself using the power or energy of Brahman to build the universe and its contents. Shakti or energy is the main active agent in the creation process. Please note this role of Shakti in creation. We need this information later on. Brahman does creation using 36 tattvas, or in other words, using 36 building blocks. It is the Shakti or energy power of Brahman that does this. These 36 building blocks are of three categories. The first category is the category of 5 tattvas, all of which are completely pure like Brahman itself. They are called Shuddha tattvas or pure principles or pure building blocks. Next category is the category of 7 tattvas, which is a mixture of pure and impure tattvas or pure and impure principles or pure and impure building blocks. They are called Shuddha Shuddha tattvas. The final third category is a category of 24 completely impure tattvas or Ashuddha tattvas or impure building blocks. What does pure mean? The first category of 5 completely pure tattvas is tattvas that all have the powers of Brahman, like ever existing, all pervading, ever unchanging, invisible, all knowing, and eternally blissful. The short form for this long description is Satchidananda. meaning ever existing, all knowing, and ever joyful. The third, completely impure category of 24 tattvas are tattvas with none of the Satchidananda nature of Brahman. The middle, second category of 7 tattvas is a mixture of pure and impure categories, where these 7 tattvas have some of the Satchidananda nature of Brahman, but not all. Almost all of us in the physical universe, almost nearly made of the last 24 impure tattvas, making us severely limited. Using Shakti or energy, we can reverse our limited state if we know how to do this. You might have heard this word alchemy. Alchemy is the art and science of this reversal. It is not about the transmutation of base metal into gold. It is about converting ourselves from a lower version to a higher version of ourselves. Currently, we are largely made of the last category of impure 24 tattvas, mostly. That is why we are not experiencing the Satchidananda nature of the Supreme Consciousness. Even though we are also that very same consciousness of Shiva Tattva. As we expand our consciousness, we gradually transmute ourselves into higher and higher tattvas, higher and higher versions of ourselves, experiencing higher and higher levels of Satchidananda nature and shining with the higher and higher levels of light of consciousness. Tantra says this process of stepping down or stepping up of consciousness is a case of transformation. It is the case where the substrate becomes the substance, as I said earlier. It is like how the milk becomes butter, as seen in the earlier example. Likewise, it is only with the Shakti that the tattvas are stepped down, and therefore it is only with Shakti again that we can step up or expand our consciousness too. Now let us see what is tattva. Tattva in Sanskrit means thatness. We can loosely translate it as truth or principles. In our context, we can also take it as the building blocks of the universe. There are 36 tattvas explained in Tantra tradition. Everything that we can see, feel, touch or measure is made of tattvas. It may be made of one tattva or made of many tattvas combined, or made of 2 or more tattvas working in harmony or working in opposition. All tattvas take their origin from Shakti of Shiva Tattva. I will use the word Shakti throughout, and you should understand it as power or energy. Tattvas are the brick and mortar of our existence and of the universe. The formation of tattvas can be thought of as derivation, transformation, augmentation, mutation, transmutation, amalgamation, or any other process that you can think of in this world. These processes may be linear or may be branched out, but never parallel. There is no parallel force that tattvas compete or cooperate with. Shakti is the only source. This creation of the universe and the expansion outwards is the stuff of life and living. In Sanskrit, the expansion or evolution is called pravritti. Just as Shakti expands, it contracts also. The contraction or involution is falling back into the source, which is Shiva Shakti, which is in turn the Brahma Shakti. In Sanskrit, the contraction is called nivritti. This expansion and contraction are similar to our exhalation and inhalation. In fact, our breathing process is a reflection of this pravritti-nivritti cycle. Brahman, the undifferentiated consciousness, becomes the universe of beings and matter, which are made of tattvas or principles or building blocks. What is supreme, nominal, transcendental, and limitless thus becomes phenomenal, limited, and mundane through Shiva Shakti, which in turn is the Brahma Shakti, the energy power of Brahma. Now then, we will examine each of these 3 categories, namely Shuddha Tattvas, Shuddha-Shuddha Tattvas, Ashuddha Tattvas, in 3 sessions. Right now, in this session, we will examine only the first category of Shuddha Tattvas. We have seen that the thought Aham Bahusyam brought a flurry of activities instantaneously in the supreme consciousness of Parabrahman. As a result, Parabrahman now becomes Aparabrahman, who put forward Shiva Tattva from which Shakti Tattva got separated for the purpose of creation. From the Shakti, the sound Om was generated, and a nucleation point called Bindu was formed with Shiva Tattva and Shakti Tattva inside as two separate aspects. A Mayic bond existed between Shiva Tattva and Shakti Tattva. The outer circumference of Bindu was the Maya. What followed was the Big Bang with the outpouring of Shakti or energy, which generated the first five Shuddha Tattvas or pure Tattvas, namely Shiva Tattva, Shakti Tattva, Sadashiva Tattva, Ishvara Tattva and Shuddha Vidya Tattva. These are the five Shuddha Tattvas, each of these five Shuddha Tattvas becoming five leadership entities with the same Satchitananda consciousness of Brahman. These five entities become the top level administrators of the created universe. These five entities with the same consciousness of Brahman are the concept of Ishwaras in Tantra. They are Ishwaras and all of them being Tattvas like us, they are accessible to us. We can build individual relationship with Ishwaras. These five pure Tattvas are put in place for five functions, namely creation, maintenance, obscuration, grace and destruction. How is this division of responsibilities shared? Shiva Tattva is the supreme consciousness, which is Satchidananda, meaning ever existing, ever knowing and eternally joyful. In Shakti Tattva, Kriya Shakti, the action power, is dominant. Shakti Tattva is primary action energy in the creation of the universe. Sadashiva Tattva is the highest of the remaining three Shuddha Tattvas. Here, the Jnana Shakti, knowledge power, and Kriya Shakti, the action power, are in perfect balance, and hence Sadashiva Tattva oversees the revealing of grace. In Ishvara Tattva, Kriya Shakti, the action power, is dominant. Hence, concealing the grace is the major overseeing responsibility that Ishvara Tattva undertakes. In Shuddha Vidya Tattva, Jnana Shakti is dominant and oversees creation, maintenance, and destruction of the universe in the end. So that is the difference between Brahman and Ishvara. What or who is God? It is the principle of Brahman that is usually referred to by the word God. But Ishwaras are those entities created with pure Tattvas and with the same Satchidananda consciousness and Shakti of Brahman or God. Ishwaras are put in charge of the created universe. Brahman or God is not a Tattva and it is beyond Tattva. But Ishwaras are Tattvas. Along with creation, Ishwaras exist in God or Brahman. Ishwaras oversee the creation and oversee the maintenance of the creation. Ishwaras mask and camouflage the creation so that the creation's hidden consciousness is not easily recognizable, and Ishwaras are responsible for unmasking the obscuration through grace for those who are ready for it in all respects. Ishwaras are responsible for the final involution or folding up of the creation when required. We humans, though we are of the same Satchidananda consciousness as the Shiva Tattva, we have been stepped down and masked by the activity of Shakti Tattva and Maya. We cannot therefore understand what is happening here. We cannot understand why we suffer like this in this life. We cannot visualize and understand Brahman. We do not have access to Brahman. And interpersonal relationship is not possible with Brahman, since no subject-object relationship can exist with Brahman. But we can understand and access Ishvara. Like us, Ishvara is also Tattva. As an analogy, Ishwaras are the headmaster and his principal department heads of this created school called the universe. Ishwaras set the syllabus and mask our true nature, and it is Ishwaras who again unmask us when we prove to Ishwaras through our everyday life that we have grown enough in our consciousness through self-efforts. Ishwaras are accessible to us just as the headmaster and his team is accessible to us. But the owner of the school is not accessible to us. Does it make sense to you? With these 5 Shuddha Tattvas, we now understand how our school is designed. We are beginning to understand how to go about our schooling here. Now let us try to understand how we become so limited and so masked even though we are Shiva Tattvas ourselves through category 2 of Shuddha Tattvas and category 3 of Ashuddha Tattvas. But all that will come in the following sessions. Thank you.